Hi. Today's one of those days where I kind of feel like I don't. All of the ideas I've had today have just felt really kind of uninspiring. And I think a major part of it is because I'm getting ready to leave. I'm going to celebrate a friend's 10-year anniversary and wedding, and I'm very excited because I'm going to a place I have not been before. I will do my daily videos from my vacation, but I don't know, dude. I'm just my head is not my head is not here. I'm thinking about all the things I have to do. I need to wash clothes and I need to pack. I need to go to the mall. I need to get my packages from the security desk. And one of the things that is different here from my apartment complex back home or back in North Carolina is that here in Mexico, they will hold your packages at the security desk 9 times out of 10. And there is a mail area downstairs in the the vestibule, the security desk for this particular building, but then there's another security gate where they'll hold your packages for you because they don't allow those folks to come in. So I have to go down and get those and bring that. Well, anyway, I'm just thinking about all of the things that I need to do. With that said, I was thinking about, I had a conversation with the lady that did my hair. Her name is Rose. She's from Nigeria. Her family's Nigerian. And she has 3 kids. She has a daughter and 2 sons. Her sons are twins, I think. And then her daughter's like 11 years old. And she was telling me about how her kids are settling in here in Querétaro. And she told me her sons are younger. They're like 5 or 6 years old. And so they can only talk so much about their experience. But her daughter, because she's 11, I think they've been here for a couple of years now. But when her daughter first came here, they moved from Texas. So when her daughter first came here, she did not like it. She said she felt like the students looked at her like she was an alien. But now that she's been here for a while now, she has friends. She's settling in quite well. She speaks Spanish. Oh, I'm so jealous. She's able to just pick up the language so easily. But I was thinking about that and also like thinking about the similarities and differences of when I was in school and how I've always wanted to travel since I was a kid. I remember when we got the Travel Channel for the first time, and I was amazed. It was this window into the world that I had always wanted, but at the time we didn't have internet. I remember when we got, oh my goodness, millennial here, 100%. Those of you who remember this, please comment. But I remember when we got internet for the first time and it was AOL and it was the disc and you had to put it in your CD-ROM and it would make that noise as it was connecting. And oh man, that wow, flashback. Flashback to a simpler time, I guess. Simpler for whom, right? Because I remember when I was a little girl and I remember going into school, and every new school year you had a new set of teachers, and it felt like every room or every, whether it was homeroom or different subjects, you'd go in the room and I remember the teachers would take all the Black kids and set us all in the back of the classroom and would teach to the rest of the classroom and basically forget about us in the back. And then those of us who would raise our hands during class and answer questions and engage, then over time, that teacher would move the Black kids who were invested, and other kids of color too, who act like they were invested in learning, and would move us to the general population of the classroom. And y'all, I'm only 42. So this was happening in like the 90s and the 2000s. And to give you some context, I grew up in Mississippi in a small town, and all of my teachers, besides like 2, from the time I was in kindergarten to the time I was in high school, I remember only having 2 Black teachers. All the other teachers in our school system were white, and the majority of the students in our school system were white. But there was a sizable Black student population. I would say maybe about 30%. And so, again, and this would happen every year from elementary school on up. And it was around middle school where you would have a homeroom teacher and then you would kind of migrate for different subjects. And when I tell you this happened all the time. And I got to thinking, it just reminded me so much of Rose's daughter and the experience that she had here and some of the interesting experiences just being a Black person in an area where there are not a lot of people that look like you, and the ignorance that you have to overcome and the conversations that you end up having with people. And there's a how do I want to say it? There's a running dialogue, I guess, or this idea that travel influencers and people who talk about moving abroad, especially those who focus their conversation on Black people, like, anti-Blackness is everywhere, right? And that's true. But the extent to which you are made to feel like an other is different. There's a spectrum. Rose's daughter was treated a certain way because she was foreign and she didn't speak the language at the time. But over time, she has developed friendships and she has better connection with other students because she can speak the language now. And the teachers are not treating her like I doubt very much that she's being sat in the back of the classroom, because if she had, Rose would have told me. We had a long conversation about their experiences as Black people, as Nigerian people in Mexico. And that was not something that was brought up. On the other hand, for me, growing up, it was made very clear that because of my skin color, there were all of these assumptions that these teachers had, and so they decided we're just not gonna we're not gonna deal with them. And so there was this feeling of constantly having to prove myself that has affected how I've lived my life. And now, coming out of the United States, my experiences have been very different, at least for me as an adult. People either they leave me alone or they're kind and polite. I haven't experienced any like real rudeness since I've been gone. And I remember when my mom was living with me, she everywhere we went, people were so polite to her. People would go out of their way to say buenos dias, buenas tardes. People were so sweet. There is a level of respect that Mexican people have for older people. And I remember when she went to get her INAPAM card laminated, she decided to go on her own, have her own little excursion, because the store where she could do it was right here in the neighborhood. So she gets there and she doesn't have enough pesos to pay for it. And someone in line just took care of it for her. They said, "Oh no, it's fine. We'll get that for you. It's all right." And it was just this sweet moment where a stranger was willing to pay for her card to get laminated. And it was really cheap. It was something like 20 pesos or something. And she, like, for whatever reason, she had her card, but she'd have pesos with her. And I think the transaction amount was too low for her to use her card. And she got back to the house and she was smiling and was like, "Yeah, these folks they paid for my card to get laminated. It was really nice." I was like, "That's great." I'll be honest, I was a little worried because she doesn't speak Spanish fluently. She has the basics down, but yeah, like she has had, I mean, I would go out to dinner with her and people would immediately stop and smile and greet her. It's just a really beautiful thing. And like in the States, you're not getting that. You're not. In the States, you've got people questioning whether or not you're even supposed to be in the spaces that they're in. And you know who I'm talking about. If you're a Black person, you know exactly who I'm talking about. They always question whether or not you're supposed to. And what's funny is that even like leaving the US and dealing with those folks who come down here for vacation or whatever, they're still nosy as hell. They're still in your business. I've had a number of experiences where I go to a restaurant or an event or whatever here in Mexico, and if there's an old white man, please believe he's going to find a way to say something. He's going to find a way to say something to you. If you are a person of color, and especially if you're Black, they can't mind their business for shit. It is so annoying. Anyway, if you want to know how I deal with that, I tend to just look at them like they're stupid. Or I won't respond. In order to protect my own peace and my own energy, I just don't respond to nosy people anymore. Good girl tip. If you're trying to like get out of good girl conditioning, that's a great tip. When people ask you invasive questions or they talk at you, a lot of older American travelers, older European travelers, if they're, just don't respond. It's like, cool, you're going to make me uncomfortable. You're going to be uncomfortable too, and we'll be uncomfortable together. But anyway, listen, I am ADHD and unmedicated right now. And so this is what we're getting. But I was thinking about the Black experience, and especially for people with children. If you have kids, just know your kids are smart and resilient. And the experience here yeah, it's going to be different. But I just think about Rose's daughter and how, even though the kids here, they don't see Black people often. So, of course, they're going to be a little bit curious. But it sounds to me like she's having a really beautiful experience and she's learning a new language and she's making new friends and she's finding her way. So, if you're scared, if you're concerned about how your children are going to acclimate, just know that your kids are going to be all right. Your kids are going to be all right. And in fact, if I had a child, I would be trying to get them out of the United States as quickly as possible because school shootings are still a thing. Now, more than ever, you've got people who are out in the streets with their firearms, and some of those people, have a pass from the federal government to use those firearms however they want. And if I had a Black son, especially, I would be getting the hell out of the United States as quickly as possible. So yeah, that is today's video. If you have questions about moving abroad, if you have questions about solo travel, travel with kids, hit me up. I don't have children. That is a conscious choice that I made to not have children. I've never wanted to be a mom, but I know people here who have immigrated and have kids. Their kids are in the schools, their kids are living their lives here and they enjoy it. I can point you in the direction of folks who can answer your questions. So, if you're new here, my name is Siobhan. I'm a 40-something Black American woman that runs these internet streets talking about my life as a solo traveler, someone who has relocated abroad, and is working on being a woman with full agency of her life, day by day, one step at a time. All right. See you tomorrow.